I know how hard it is to keep track of everything that's going on in the NFL. Now you got all these unknown guys. How difficult has that been for you?
They approached me, and I was standing like in a doorway of one of my managers, and I walked right out. I'm like, yeah, not happening. Because you guys know how the league works. The second the season ends, the minute the Super Bowl wraps up, it's free agency, it's draft, it's combine. It's the biggest false narrative out there is that the NFL season wraps up, and it just doesn't. If anything, I'd say I probably work harder in the off season. But once I found out how serious the league was, and I got to meet the XFL commissioner, Oliver Luck, and he is, we talk about being smart. He blows you away. He just knows what he's doing. They put so much work into this. And I also wanted to hear, to be real transparent with you, I wanted to hear that they were putting money into it. Because my thought was, I don't want to be part of something that in 2 weeks is going to fold.
Right.
And, I've worked really hard within the league of the NFL to build up credibility, and I wasn't certain about it. But once I heard the business model and what the interest level was from fans, because that was like my other question, do people really want this? I kind of jumped all in. And then once I heard Steve Levy was on it, I was like, okay, yeah, I'm definitely doing this because he's just like the best.
Well, the other thing, though, Dianna, though, is this, their partnerships are huge. I mean, their partnerships with your people, with the Disney people, with the ABC, ESPN, and their other networks, I believe, that are associated with it. It's incredible. That's going to give the staying power beyond what anybody could imagine.
So you guys see me on TV all the time on ESPN, right? So that's great. We obviously have millions of viewers. But the fact that I'm working a game on ABC,
right?
If you think about it, it's actually the biggest thing I've ever done in my career.
Right.
So, for me, it's actually a really good opportunity. And when I was a little hesitant at first, I kept thinking about, well, this could be really cool because, who knows what it could eventually turn into. And
right.
Learning these guys, though, that has been really hard because you're like, wait, why do I know this name? Oh, yeah, he was with the Broncos for like a minute. Or, yeah, I definitely talked to him at Jets practice once. I think I did.
Yeah.
So doing the research and catching up on these guys and finding what their stories are, and you can imagine some of them have some pretty incredible ones.
What about the access? So everybody was making a big deal, and you're so great with your like self-deprecating nature on social media and stuff about you running around, panting, doing all of these interviews live, on television there with the access that you have. How different was that for you? Were you comfortable with it? Was it something you enjoyed?
Well, it was really cute in my 20s to be like, oh, I don't work out. I'm just athletic. But now I'm obviously a little older now. And running is, just walking to my car is a challenge. So now they have me running around the field. And here's the thing, Oliver Luck said to me, he's like, I don't want you to feel like you had any rules. As long as you use your sort of instincts on it, and if you want to ask a quarterback anything at any point, go ahead. Just make sure it doesn't distract from the game and add to it. If you're thinking it and you're curious about it, when a kicker misses a 35-yarder and you want to know what the heck was going through his mind, there's probably people out there watching that are thinking it, so go for it. So, yeah, definitely making that adjustment from being on the NFL sideline where, guys, you know how it is. It's, the credential cops are out there. I'll walk around with a camera that screens ESPN and people will still be like, are you allowed here? I'm like, guys, come on. Like, I'm obviously not just a fan. So it's fun to just be able to go with what I think fans want. And again, they're not really putting rules on me. But the hard part is really getting to the action, right? Because sometimes I'm on the wrong side of the field, or something happens real quick. There's a pick, so I got to go run to that other bench, and that's really where I got my butt kicked last week. I woke up on Sunday, so my game was Saturday at 2:00. It was right here. It was over at Audi Field, and I woke up Sunday I felt like I raged the night before and had 15 beers because I'm like, I feel awful. So I tried to get a little cardio in this week, and the fact that I'm talking about getting fit is so pathetic. I'm like, I got to get fit to do my job. Come on, it's really not that hard. But for two, I think they clocked me. It was 12,500 steps.
That's a lot.
I did in one game.
Physically demanding.
That's only one game.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
that's more than cake snows in 3 days.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dianna, were there certain players or coaches that when you approached them say, I can't talk right now?
Or were they pretty open?
Oh, no. It's funny because that's like another thing I'm managing, our relationships, because these guys don't know me and I don't really know them. So, and I just sort of jumped in all this about a month ago, and I'm only around them once in a while. So there has to be a bit of a trust factor there. In fact, the kicker from D.C., who I interviewed right after he missed the 35-yarder, I asked him, obviously, what do you think went wrong there? You haven't, attempted a field goal in 2 years in a meaningful game. What do you think you did? And he gave me a great answer about just rushing in. He had a little bit of nerves. And so as soon as the camera cut away, he walked away and I grabbed him. I go, look, you make one, I'm coming for you. I'm not just hitting you on the bad. And he's like, thanks. And then at the end of the half, he hit a 55-yarder, and he saw me right away. He's like, you promised. I was like, I told you. Right. So, like, you don't want to expose these guys in a way that makes them insecure or expose a moment of negativity. I want to celebrate them. So, but I still think when there's mistakes, people kind of want to know what happened.
Right.
All right, so talk about the game tomorrow, Defenders, Guardians, 2 o'clock ABC. The line's 7, by the way. 7-47 the total. So the Guardians won their first game. They beat Tampa, I believe. Tampa did not look good. Aaron Murray was terrible. He had 3 turnovers. Defenders looked really good. Guardians looked good. So these are 2 1-0 teams. What's the strength of the Guardians based on what you know?
I love the inside scoop you have on this breakdown here. Who's your researcher there? By the way,
that would be me.
I love that you mentioned Vegas because that's the gambling element to all this is really what separates it. And you'll hear Steve Levy and Greg McElroy reference it all game long. So if you like to gamble and bet on games, I actually think this is like the perfect spot for you on Saturdays and Sundays because we're not hiding it. We're not doing that shady thing where we kind of like wink, wink at you. We are talking about it and we are pushing it and we're discussing it. So I think that kind of makes it more fun to just as a fan to watch. Even if you don't like the football element of it, you at least have something to cheer for if you are gambling on it. But, yeah, so the Guardians, obviously they did a really good job offensively last week. Matt McGloin looked much better than I expected, I can tell you that much. But their defense is really good. DC will tell you that their defense is the best in the league, but I actually think New York's going to give them a run this week. But Cardale Jones, his ability to extend the play, I almost forgot about what he could do with his legs and his decision-making because it's just been so long since we've seen him. In fact, I interviewed him after the win, and I'm running up to him, and I'm thinking to myself, real quick, your brain's going 100 miles an hour. I'm like, all right, so the last time Cardale started in a game was probably, I'm like, oh, my gosh. The last time this kid started in a game was in the national championship game at Ohio State.
Right.
This has been 4 years. Just the fact that he's back out there and enjoying it and even talking to him post-game off camera, he's like, it just feels good to be back out there and, not to be sentimental or to overly dramatic about the emotions of the XFL because there aren't a lot. But one thing, guys, the difference between being in this league than any sport I've covered is these guys want to be there. It almost feels collegiate.
Right.
Some of them have a chip on their shoulder. Some of them want to prove, but they know they're on national TV and they don't want to be embarrassed. They want to look great and they want to put good tape together and they're rooting for the league. So it's this really fun environment to be part of because everyone's rooting for it and they want success. And Audi Field last week, I know you guys weren't able to get down there, and I hope at one point in the season you can just come even for like a half and bring, maybe bring the kids.
Yeah.
The vibe is awesome.
Yeah.
It is so good.